Hello and welcome to Catamount Community Connection, your weekly public affairs show here across all 5 stations and also on PEG TV. You can Google Catamount Community Connection when you get to the PEG TV website and then pick whatever date you want or guest that you want, and you can listen at your leisure. And of course, each week we talk with community leaders from the business, professional, nonprofit, and political arenas. And our show is brought to you by the Rutland County Agricultural Society, which has brought you the Vermont State Fair in Rutland since 1846. And we are looking forward to the 180th Vermont State Fair coming up August 18th through the 22nd this year. And we are very much looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, we have the president of the Rutland County Agricultural Society with us today, Robert Congdon, and we're also going to be joined by Dave Allaire, who's president. So we have a couple presidents of the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. So, gentlemen, both of you, welcome in, and it's great to see you again. I wanted to touch base with Robert before we got too much further along so we can promote the fair a little bit ahead of the August 18th start date. But we also have some events coming up in both Rutland Town and Rutland City, and also, to be fair, in Brandon and Killington for the 4th of July. So we'll talk about some of that as well. I don't know where we want to start. You guys tell me.
I know that there's a great partnership that's really been joined together here between the town, the city, the fairgrounds. Everybody's just really looking forward to bringing this all together between the 3rd and the 4th. So folks have got their really array of choices, and hopefully they'll take it all in between the 3rd and the 4th.
I know I had April Chaffee from the rec department on, gosh, it's probably a month, 5 weeks ago now. And she talked about, and I was really tickled to hear about this, she and Mike Rowe, who is the recreation director of Rutland Town, have been working cooperatively together for both, not just the 4th of July celebration, but, you know, they've begun to sort of get that union together, which I think is great. You know, it's the old donut hole with the city as the whole, and the surrounding donut piece is the Rutland Town. And so, you know, one sort of controls the other, and the other has certain control over the other. And for years, again, I don't want to be negative about this. Let's just say on occasion there was a little bit of friction and kind of push back and forth. But it was great to see and hear that they're getting together with this. So maybe we could start with that 4th of July situation. And Dave Allaire, welcome into you as well.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Pleased to be here and be able to talk a little bit about what you just mentioned. And it's a collaboration between the city and the town. We've actually met several times in City Hall chambers and had the select board of the town in, and Mike Rowe, the recreation director, along with the folks from the city, April Chaffee, and her compatriots. And we've talked about what can we do to celebrate the 250th birthday of the country. And, you know, having it all happen on the 4th of July weekend, I think it works hand in hand with what's going on down at the fairgrounds on the 4th. So the celebration I'm talking about is July 3rd. It's going to happen up at Northwood Park. It's from 4 to 8 p.m., weather permitting. We certainly hope that the weather's going to cooperate. But Mike and April have really done a tremendous job putting this all together. The pool's going to be open up at Northwood Park. There's going to be vendors. There's going to be children's games, food, all sorts of activities. And there's actually going to be a competition, which I just understand, that between the Select Board and the Board of Aldermen, kind of a fun thing, maybe cornhole, I'm not sure what it is, but just a way of, getting together and enjoying the 4th. And it shows that there is a lot of cooperation between the city and the town. The old days are gone. This is a new day. We have to cooperate if we're going to be successful, both in the town and the city and this whole area. That's what we got to do. So we're excited about it. I'm glad I'm here to be able to talk a little bit about it and get the word out. and there's going to be, I think, some ads in the paper, and we're going to try to spread the word as much as we can. On top of that, of course, Robert's here to talk about what's going on down at the fairgrounds the next day. That's an all day full of activities, and he can go into the details. But there's been a lot of work done by a lot of volunteers to make the whole weekend successful, and I think it's going to be great for the region. Yeah,
and I don't know whether it would be like ultimate if it was a Saturday, Sunday sort of event. This year, as it turns out, it's a Friday, Saturday, so I'm sure people will be taking Friday off if they possibly can so they can enjoy both. Because the other thing that happens are parades right around the whole celebration. There is a Brandon parade, which is traditionally a fairly big draw with thousands of people at it. That is on the 3rd at 9 o'clock. And then there's also a Castleton parade the same day at 10 in the morning. And then the following day, the Poultney parade, which is their tradition. They're always on the 4th. That one starts at 10 a.m. And Killington also has a parade, which starts at the exact same time. So obviously you can't be in all 4 places at once. Many of the elected officials over the years have chosen the Brandon and Poultney parades. They're 2 of the bigger ones. Killington has a tendency to be pretty small. I think it only takes like a half an hour for the whole parade to begin and end. Castleton, same thing. It's not a huge parade. Poultney is a rather interesting one because you wind up walking about 3 miles before you're finished. But anyway, so those are kind of the parades which are around all of the events. And as Dave just mentioned, the Rutland Town one is going to call themselves the Rutland Summer Jam. It's at Northwood Park, and it starts at 4 o'clock. So for those that wanted to, you can go to the Brandon parade first, because that's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours by the time you get up and back. And you kind of got to take Lover's Lane, if I remember, to get back around. Well, depending where you are in the parade, that's also interesting, too. If you're at the beginning of the parade, you have a tendency not to be able to go anywhere on Route 7 South until the whole thing's over. So a lot of us kind of go up to Lover's Lane and then find our way back. So you can do that one on Friday, or you could do Castleton at 10, and then you'll have plenty of time to get over to Northwood Park by 4 o'clock. That's the 4-hour one, the 4 to 8. And as Dave Allaire mentioned, food, live music, family-friendly activities, and it should be a lot of fun. Then Saturday is, and I'll let Robert kind of take it from here. Again, the Poultney Parade starts at 10. It's another one where it takes a while to walk the 3 miles. It really does. But it's probably one of the bigger parades in the county. And then Killington also starts at the same time, not as big and not as long. But then the main sort of 4th of July event will be at the Rutland or at the Vermont State Fairgrounds. And I'll let Robert talk about that, when it starts and what's going to be there.
Yeah, well, thank you, Brian. And so we are really looking forward to kind of being a focal point for the 4th itself. We are going to open our gates at 1 o'clock. Things really ramping up between 1 and 2. Things will be in full swing by 2 o'clock. And really a full afternoon of events. Again, family-friendly atmosphere. There's going to be no charge to come onto the grounds for that afternoon. So you can come down with the family. Again, there's going to be food vendors open. There's going to be games. There's going to be displays set up. We've confirmed already. We've got blacksmith demonstrations going on in the afternoon. We've got some other groups that are putting out displays and demonstrations. We've got old-time games set up by the Grange, actually have volunteered to run that for us. So they're going to be having their games out for people to participate in. And my understanding is there's even some prizes to be given out for games down there as well. There's going to, again, be the food vendors. We've got the Fair Museum open. So if you want to take in some nostalgia that day, if you don't really get, to spend a lot of time in there during the fair, it is going to be open and out there for the 4th. And then we also have what really we're gearing to be a veterans and an active military and past military connection. We've got a memorial wall type thing going to be set up for those who have served. And also, if we happen to have some Gold Star families that come as well, there's going to be maps up where they actually are going to be able to pin locations where they've been, where they've served. And again, Gold Star families can even pin, where those that gave the ultimate sacrifice gave that sacrifice. So we also have a coloring station for kiddos to come down and be able to color. That's going to be in the Vermont building as well. And we have, as long as they last for kids, free balloons to give out that day, 250th themed balloons to give out. And then of course, the one thing that, obviously purchase things from the vendors, those are going to have some charges to them. But the charge for the DNA Motorsports Demolition Derby, the Summer Smash, is that evening. That's going to kick off at 6 o'clock before the fireworks. So I'm recommending to folks to get those tickets early. We have come close to selling out on the 4th of July for a few years now, and I think the fact that it's the 250th, we stand a really good chance to be in a sold-out crowd this year. So those tickets are available at ParamountVT.org. So again, that's ParamountVT.org. When I checked in yesterday, they were going fast already, so make sure you snag those while you can. And then, again, I know we've talked about it already, Brian, but just can't say enough about Fireworks Over Rutland and the work that they did to raise $30,000. And I think in the end it was actually $35,000 they raised because they had a big sponsor come in at the end to help cover some of the extra expenses. And 9:45, I think we're going to have a fireworks display that we haven't seen in a long, long time, if ever, in Rutland. So I think it's going to be a great evening.
Yeah, one of the members of the Rutland City Board of Aldermen, I don't want to just shine the light on him, but Alex Adams kind of took that as a project, I think, if you will, and it made me think maybe I went in the wrong business. With all due respect to the Montpelier company that provides the fireworks, I can remember, and it's not that long ago, 10, 15 years, when the whole thing would have run you about $10,000. Yeah. From what I understand, and it's already been raised, so you don't have to worry about it, it's now $30,000, and I know how inflation goes and all of that, but maybe I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I should have, founded a fireworks company, and because I think it's the only one in the state. So, and I got to think, as you point out, Robert, with the 250th birthday, they're really busy this year, I'm sure. So it's going to be a $30,000 display, folks, starting at 9:45 on the 4th. They'll be at the fairgrounds. When Robert was on about 4 or 5 weeks ago, we talked about where they're going to start shooting them off from. But obviously, if you're in the grandstand, you'll be able to see them. And I'm sure there'll be people lined up outside who live close enough so that they'll be able to view them as well. So, yeah, that's kind of exciting. And, thanks to Alex and whoever else was part of that group, because that's a pretty ambitious goal to raise that kind of money. But they did it, and we are going to have fireworks. We've had a little bit of a hiatus the last few years with no fireworks. But this year it's going to be great. And again, I see it as sort of that collaboration, as Dave Allaire's mentioned, between the city and the town. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and if I could just add a couple of things to that, Brian, you're absolutely right. As part of the fundraising effort that Alex took on in his group, we, being the city, was approached, as well as the Agricultural Society and Rutland Town, and each contributed $1,000 to the effort. So it is a collaboration, and we did put our money where our mouth is, and we wanted to have fireworks, and we've wanted to have those for the last several years. But it has been just monetarily, just a tough lift. Paramount Theater, that's just a lot of money to raise to try to do that all by yourself. So I see this as an ongoing thing, not just a one-year deal. I think we're going to see it, every year, which is what people expect. It's the 4th of July. You don't want to just look at Channel 3 and watch the fireworks over Lake Champlain. You want to be able to see them in your own town. and there's no reason why we can't. And it is going to be a tremendous display. 9:45, July 4th, that night. It's going to be a great way to top off the weekend.
And I know prior to that, Robert was telling me, and I don't know what the biggest country act in the country is, but for whatever reason, Rutland loves a couple of things I know about. They love the Halloween parade, more than anything else, I think. And then the second thing they love are demo derbies. So it's easily the most popular event that the fair has all week is the demo derby. And I mean, you could have the biggest country star in the world and you'd sell out, no question. But there would also be a sellout for every demo derby you could ever do.
And I think, Brian, too, we can't give enough props, to DNA Motorsports, who's been doing our demolition derbies now for the last several years. They're a local company. They're in Wallingford, Vermont. Tommy and Annette Woodbury, locals. They love Rutland. They love Rutland County. And they're here to really do this for our community. So it's community driven all the way around. That's really where this lands. We want something. That's what drives the volunteers. Our board and all those that come together that are making this happen. Let's make this for our community. Let's bring some positivity. Sometimes we all can get weighed down with the negativity that's going on, what we hear. This is just a time for us to come together, and I like to think that the fair is that each summer, and this is just another opportunity for that to happen.
We're talking to Robert Congdon, who's president of the Rutland County Agricultural Society, and Dave Allaire, who's president of the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. And again, we began by talking about this. I don't know if it's an absolutely new collaboration, but it sort of comes and goes maybe with cycles, and we're on an upswing again for sure. The two recreation directors, Mike Rowe in the town and April Chaffee in the city, have begun to form that really permanent relationship, I think, that will allow both communities to get together whenever possible. And we've got some great, obviously, institutions kind of thing with Northwood Park and then the fairgrounds to have events in it. And I think it's going to be great. I think the most important thing maybe that be the parking down at the fairgrounds. I know they'll probably use the infield, but are we going to run shuttle buses too?
Well, that hasn't really come together. I mean, we haven't really talked about that yet. I guess maybe that's something we need to think about, but we're going to park as much as we possibly can on the fairgrounds. So we are going to park out back from where the rides normally are during the fair. We're going to park up through from the movie screen to Park Street. We're going to fill that, and then we'll start filling everywhere else. We do have to keep 400-foot safety radius around the fireworks, so we can't go too close. And actually, the drive-in movie screen is pretty much where that line ends on that side. And then we'll just keep on working our way around the grounds. You fill the oval. We can fill parts of the track if we need to. We can certainly put cars wherever we can. I am telling people, historically, they may be able to, in the past, have come down and waited until 9:15, 9:30, and they come onto the fairgrounds and they try to park and watch the fireworks. We will have the gates open, but I can't make any promises because with everything going on, I think it's going to be standing room only, as we're guessing here, to get people in and get things going on.
No, I think you're right. I can foresee a full grandstand and a whole bunch of other people right outside the gates just kind of watching. Volunteers, are you still looking for anybody's help to pull this all together?
I mean, we take volunteer ushers on the grandstand. I'm sure probably could still use. We had a meeting last night that I think we still had a few openings there. So they certainly could reach out if interested in that. That basically just means watching a section, making sure the right wristbands are in the right sections. If you're interested in that, you can email vermontstatefair@outlook.com. That would be the best place to reach out to get in touch with us. We have been getting, some last-minute vendor-type inquiries as well. If folks are interested in potentially bringing their wares down, or if they've got an information booth that they want to connect with people or, whatever that it may be, RCAS Concessions. So RCAS Concessions, spelled out, all one word, at gmail.com is the best place to reach out there. And if you've got, a booth, typically our spaces are 10 by 10 to set up a little booth for interacting with the public. And certainly there's going to be a lot there that day. That's an opportunity. I guess that's the best way to leave it, Brian, as far as that goes, because I think there's just been a huge outpouring of the community and interest, and we're so excited to see that. And we've been talking for several years now. How do we? It's traditionally been just 4th of July night, the demo derby, and then fireworks and limited events. And this is the year that it's growing out into being more of a full day, and we would love to see that. And truthfully, we'd love to see it become a weekend type thing at some point. But this is a great step, getting us to a full day.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know whether Rutland Town is in a similar position with their event on Friday or not. You could certainly call the town offices. Well, this show is probably going to air on Sunday on most of our stations, so tomorrow, and ask about anything you can do there to help. You can always help, at any event.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We are always looking for people that want to volunteer. Just get a hold of April Chaffee down at the Recreation Department here in the city, or Mike Rowe up in the town, and I'm sure that they could probably find a place for you. We're hoping for a large turnout. First year of this event, so it's hard to predict. People do make plans on the 4th of July, but it is the 250th birthday of our country, and I can't emphasize that enough because Brian, you and I remember the bicentennial.
I do.
And that was a really big deal for this country. It went on all year long. And there was celebrations. People came together. It was really a great time to celebrate our country. And I'd like to see the same thing happen here, this time, because like Robert mentioned, you hear about the negativity, and sometimes that's what people concentrate on. But there's so much good that's going on. And this is just one aspect of it. And not only all these events on the 4th of July weekend, but we also, of course, got the Vermont State Fair coming up in August. And that has turned around immensely in the last few years. The numbers that we see going down to the fairgrounds during that week is just tremendous. And it's so good for this region, so good for the whole area. And people talk about it all the time. They're talking to me all the time about can't wait for the fair to come again. So that's the kind of stuff we like to hear.
Yep, I know from looking at Ray Mooney's. You might be from Rutland if ... or whatever the exact thing is on Facebook. He's had pictures for the last 2 or 3 weeks of, and I still call it Gouger Hill. So it's Main Street going down, and there's pictures of. And back then, Route 7 was a single lane. And it goes all the way back. You can't even see where it starts, way up at the top by Christ the King. And that's how people would line up to get into the fairgrounds. Mm. And we are going to talk for the next 20 minutes or so about some of the events that will be happening during Fair Week. I know we had a lot of stuff that we talked to with Robert last time he was on. So why don't we take our first break here on Catamount Community Connection, and we'll be back with both Dave Allaire from the Rutland City Board of Aldermen and Robert Congdon, the president of the Fair Association, in just a minute. We're back on Catamount Community Connection. I'm Brian Collamore, your weekly host for the show, and we talk with different folks every week about what's going on in the county. And again, our show is brought to you by the Rutland County Agricultural Society, which has been bringing you the Vermont State Fair at Rutland since 1846. And this, of course, is the 180th, if you do the math quickly. But it does coincide rather nicely with the 250th birthday of our country. And we're joined today by Robert Congdon, who's president of the Agricultural Society, and Dave Allaire, who's president of the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. So let's move. We kind of talked a lot about the 3rd and the 4th of July, the parades that are going on, the event at Rutland Town's Northwood Park, and then the whole full-day event at the fairgrounds on the 4th of July, including the demo derby, and then everything will be wrapped up with the fireworks display at 9:45 on Saturday night. The fair, just a little bit more than, well, I can't do that math in my head that quickly. It's getting close, folks. It's August 18th through the 22nd, so it's, again, a 5-day event. And Robert can kind of bring us up to date on who's going to do what, where, when, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we've got a packed event coming for the 180th. I'm really excited, Brian, about the grounds acts that we have this year. We've got some cycling in and cycling out. We do that quite often just to keep things fresh. And the committee just did a phenomenal job this year getting in things that maybe have been gone for a couple of years and people were wondering where they were. We cycle. So we've got, at this point, the dock diving dogs are back. They were on hiatus for a year or so. We've got an acrobat back, which we didn't have an acrobat for a year or two. We do have another racing pigs company, which is actually going to race goats as well. So we're going to find out how that goes. That's going to be interesting. We've got a comedy circus. We've got Pirate Man Dan. We've got Turbo the Tractor. We've got the Moving Mermaid. We've got the Shark and Stingray encounters. Trying to wrap my head around everything else. A bird encounter, the butterfly house, all of those things are going to be here, and it's just the reality of all those things that can be taken in with your admission to the fair. So once you pay your admission at the gate, you can take all of those things in for no additional charge. And 1 year we calculated it, and I think truly you would have to be there from open till close to truly take in all of those acts in a day. And nowhere else for that kind of value can you really get that bang for your buck to be able to do that. We are also still, I tout it when I can, the fact that we are still one of the cheapest fairs in the region. Mm-hmm. We have kept our gate prices reasonably low on purpose because we want to be that family event that folks can come out to and not, lose their wallet at the gate just trying to get into the place and not have anything to spend when they get onto the grounds. So we've worked hard at that. So that's exciting. And then, of course, on the Diamonds and More Grandstand, just an awesome action-packed week. So we're going to open everything up with a Pond Hill Pro Rodeo on the 18th. The Demolition Derby is going to be on the 19th. So Wednesday night will be the next Demolition Derby. On Thursday night, we're going to have tractor pulls again, but this year we're adding truck pulls to that. So it's going to be tractor and truck pulls. That is a free Diamonds and More Grandstand for that. So, there's no additional charge on Thursday night to come down and watch the tractor and truck pulls to see the. You can come and go visit the grounds, come watch the show for a while, and go back and forth. So that's the included night in the gate admission. Friday night, SOS Promotions will be back and bringing another flat track motorcycle race, which actually by the time this airs, there will have been one yesterday. So that's coming our way on Friday night under the lights. And then again, the partnership with the Paramount has been key in bringing the Diamonds and More Grandstand entertainment on Saturday night. And we are so excited to have Aaron Lewis and the State Liners. And again, those tickets are moving. So I want to encourage people to get on there and get those tickets. And also, for about the next month, if you buy your tickets on ParamountVT.org, you're going to get your gate admission included in your ticket purchase. So you get a little bit of an extra bang for your buck if you're going to buy a grandstand show seats, and you can get your gate admission included in that up until it's right around August 1st is when that cutoff is. So there's still some time left, but don't wait till the last minute. Grab those tickets early, and that gets you into the fair for the day. You don't have to. It's not just when you come down for the show. You can come, at open, show your ticket to whatever grandstand show that was. on the grounds for the day and then go to the show in the evening. So that's a great value that is an added value for folks. And then this year, the Amusements of America Midway is being brought to us by Primo Roofing. They're the sponsor of that this year. And we can't wait to see, Amusements of America has been great to us. They told us that they would grow with us as we grew, and they have kept their promise. And we've seen different rides shuffled in and shuffled out. And they partner with Miller Amusements out of New Hampshire, which is another local company. And I have no doubt that we're going to have a great Midway this year, yet again, for something for everybody. They bring in something for the little of the littles, but also the more thrill seeking, they can get their thrills on the rides as well.
One of the things I've always liked about the Vermont State Fair here in Rutland is the agricultural side of things, and I think when you were on last, we talked about that balance where some of the other fairs, for a lot of other reasons, may spend a little bit more money, time, and effort promoting the rides and the midway and the shows. And then there's others that don't do as much with that, but do more agricultural kinds of stuff. I think the Vermont State Fair here has achieved that perfect balance. If you enter the fairgrounds and you really take some time to get over to the ag side with the maple candy, which again is my absolute all-time favorite, and the barns and all that, and spend some time over there, you could spend hours over there and not see the same thing twice. Mm-hmm. And then if you really wanted to get over to the other side, obviously you could go over where the Midway is and enjoy some great food. I know the folks from MSJ will be there, as they always have been. And, for that 1 week, whatever diet you're on, you're off it for the week, and you can eat what you want.
Well, and I think the reality is, Brian, it's been our philosophy as a board, not just speaking for myself, but the whole board, is carrying the Vermont State Fair mantle is a very important mantle to carry. And I think to do justice to the Vermont State Fair, it's got to be balanced. We have to get those groups in. We have to have the Grange. We have to have 4-H. We have to have all of the dairy, the groups that come together to put together it's turned into we call it the petting zoo down there in the pet and poultry section, but there's farmers that come together to bring their animals in to make that happen. It's got to be well-rounded. We've tried to make sure that we're doing justice to our agricultural roots. I mean, we, as you've said, are an agricultural society. It's right in our mission that we need to continue to educate about agriculture and industry. And, back in the day when it was the turn of the century, this was where everybody came out to learn what the latest, greatest thing for agricultural and industry was. It was, when you look back on the history of that turn of the century time period, tragically, there was one of the earliest plane crashes in the country occurred right here in Rutland because planes were being exhibited on the fairgrounds to show what the latest technology was. So that's, I think, the reality of what a fair is meant to be. We need to make sure that we're hitting all those aspects. And you're right, there are folks that maybe all they're really interested in is the rides and some of the exhibits on that side, and maybe they don't cross the brook. I don't know. That might be the reality, but there's just as many and probably more that are more interested in the other side and don't cross the brook over to the rides either. So we try to have something for everybody and try to have something that's going to go to everybody. And I have to do it, the reality of, we can't do this without our sponsors. We can't do that without the community that gets behind us, whether it's the person who or business that gives thousands or the person who literally gives $100. They're all equally as valuable in making this happen. And we saw that with the fireworks. It's just as true with the fair. It's just as true with all the things that get brought to this community. So we owe a lot to them. We owe a lot to those and that come out and support us and make that happen. That partnership that kind of led the way here a few years ago with Diamonds and More when they became the flagship. Ivan and Sally they believe in Rutland and they believe in what's going on and believe in what's happening at the fairgrounds. And again, I hope people, when the brochures come out, when the books come out, take time to look through our sponsor list. If you go into one of their businesses, thank them for being a part of the community, for bringing this to make this happen, because it's those dollars that add up that allow us to add each year, allow us to do upgrades. We talk a lot about those capital and state grants, Brian, that you have a role in, which are really seeds, right? I mean, they're small seeds that we can take to bring new restroom facilities, to upgrade buildings, to do projects that need to happen. But it's the sponsors and those people that come out and support us that put the rest of the money into the mix that can finish those projects out and can allow us to do that.
Yeah, many of the things that I've learned, and so except for my first term up at the legislature, I was on health and welfare. In the Senate, we're on two different committees. And so I had health and welfare in the morning and then government operations in the afternoon. But since then, so this is now my 10th year on the Senate Agriculture Committee, and I learned stuff that I never knew before from being on that committee. I've watched, unfortunately, and we just had some really bad news with another co-op kind of shuttering and people losing jobs. When I was first in there, probably there were 650 farms, dairy farms still in the state. And I'm not going back, way back, there were 1,000 easily. Yep. And many of them were family farms where you would literally have 30 or 40 head and that was it.
Yep.
And you'd be able to at least eke a living out by milking and then sending that milk down country. Now, there are, I think we're under 500. I think it's in the 480, 490 range. We're not milking any less. In fact, the volume is up, but the reason is that there's been a lot of consolidation. So the farms have now become 2,500 head or even 3,000 in some cases. So, there's good and bad, I guess. I miss those farms where there were only 25, 30, and you'd see them grazing, and that's why people would come up here. But the interstate, in my view, changed everything back in the early 60s when both I-89 and I-91 went in. And so we have seen a loss of a lot of the dairy farms, especially the local family kind of farms. But that's why I really do like spending a lot of time over, as you say, across the brook at the fair to see the pulls and the livestock demonstrations, the FFA stuff, the 4-H. It really is important because Vermont was rooted and born with agriculture, and we're, I think, slowly losing that, unfortunately. And so it's always good for me to sort of get on that side of things. And thanks to you for, continuing to advocate for that segment of the population. And I wish everybody that's listening here would at least remember when they go to the fair this year, even if it's a half hour, an hour, just at least walk around and see everything that's going on. Yeah. The Royce Mandigo Arena, I remember before that was built. And I remember many years of having a good old time with the hockey. Yep. Now it's not the hockey anymore, but they still use the building. So It's different, but that's the way life goes too, I guess. Change is tough sometimes to take, but without it, we're not here anymore.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sure the president of the Board of Aldermen has some favorite fair memories. Maybe we can call on Dave Allaire to... because you go back a little bit further than I do here. I arrived in Rutland in 1972, but you were here before that, maybe not a long time before that. And so you've had a chance to at least see a few more fairs. And I know that things change. When you're a kid, you go for certain things. When you're a teenager, you go for other things. And then when you get a little bit older, you go for other, you bring your grandkids down. But have you got any sort of one of those, oh, boy, I remember the year that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I can remember when I first started going to the fair. I was in the mid-'60s. I was probably 8, 9 years old. Those are my first remembrances of the fair. And of course, at that age, you are looking forward to going on the rides and, getting your hot dogs and cotton candy and all that sort of stuff. And those are the kinds of things I remember. But of course, back then, school didn't start until after the fair started. It was after Labor Day. And so I even think Children's Day was before school actually started. So it was at the end of summer. You're first of all, you're looking, oh boy, I got to go back to school, but you get to go to the fair. And what a great way to kick things off. And I do remember the crowds. My wife and I talk about this a lot, and they're coming back now. Some nights I can remember being down there. It was just wall to wall. Wall to wall, not just on Friday night when you could get in there for a reduced price or for free, but it was all week long. And it was an event that people in the community look forward to all year long, talked about it all year long, and a marquee event, not just for the city, but for the state. And it was the Vermont State Fair. And, that's what it is now again. Yep. It's the Vermont State Fair. And I think it's hierarchy has come back. Not to belittle any of the other fairs because everybody's, in the same boat. They're all very competitive. They're all trying to do their own thing for their community. And, we went to the Champlain Valley Fair a few times, but it's just not the same as the Vermont State Fair. The balance, the agriculture, we don't always see that everywhere else. And my wife and I do enjoy walking the grounds or taking the shuttle if we get tired, and going over to across the brook and into the agricultural sector because that's a highlight of our participation in the fair. And we go 2, 3, 4 times. And I even the last few years have done a little volunteering down there. So it's come back. It is a marquee event, and this year I think it's going to be better than ever.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you ever sneak in?
Yep.
I did too. I was in my 30s.
Well, I was a little younger, but I did do that.
Yeah, that is funny. I think everybody that lives in Rutland has done it at least once or twice. And a lot of times it was over the fence by the railroad tracks where you could kind of find a little spot to sneak either under or over. We don't want that to be
no.
We
discourage that immensely.
Yes, we do. Because we'd like to think the fair could stay in the black, and you really have done. Your board has done a great job in bringing it around because there was some financial difficulties that the fair went through for a bit.
Oh, absolutely. I think I got invited to get involved. It's back a while ago now. I think this year marks 10 years ago. And I wasn't going to be president then, but I got invited to kind of join the board and start getting involved. And as you know, it's in the blood. So it was appealing to do that. And I remember walking into the first meeting and hearing, you owe what? And there's that much on the books. And what are we going to do? But it was amazing how just a team, backs against the wall, because that's very much where we were. The backs were against the wall, and everybody just pulled out all the stops and came together. And I think the community came behind us too. I think we've got all of that came together. The city worked with us at the time. You add all of it up, and the businesses that came out and said, "Well, you need this. We can make this happen for you." And slowly but surely, over the course of, I would say, took 5, 6, 7 years. We started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We were able to dig out of where we were, able to get that behind us, which was a huge, as anybody out there knows, whether it's your personal budget or if it's a business budget, when that debt service is off of there, it really almost seems like the sky becomes the limit, right? I mean, you can just do all kinds of things that maybe you weren't able to think about before. And certainly now it's a really positive feeling. And certainly we've got to be good stewards. We got to be good about how we handle the business. And that's the current, certainly projection of the board and how they're handling things. And it's been exciting what we've been able to do. And I think, as Dave said, I think the 180th is going to be better than ever, and people are going to see even more improvement this year, as they've come to expect. Every year they come down, and I get the comments, oh, well, this is new this year, or you upgraded this year, you did that this year. Those are the types of things that are exciting to hear.
We're talking to Robert Congdon, who is president of the Rutland County Agricultural Society, and Dave Allaire, who's president of the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. We'll take our second break here on Catamount Community Connection. We have about 10 minutes left when we come back, so stay right there. Welcome back to Catamount Community Connection, our weekly public affairs show here on Catamount Radio across all 5 stations and available at your leisure on PEG TV. Just go to the PEG TV website and Google either the date of the show you want to hear or who was on it, and you can roll it up. It comes up on a YouTube thing, and you can listen at your leisure. And again, our show brought to you by the Rutland County Agricultural Society. We've been talking about the Vermont State Fair here, which is now going to have their 180th show, August 18th through the 22nd. And Robert's done a great job of telling you some of the events that will be there. I know Dave Allaire wanted to mention, because this is, it's one of those weird geographical things where the city is the inside of the donut and then the town surrounds it. So it has to be a county collaboration in order to make sure that the fair stays successful. And I know that the city has kind of jumped in and wants to help out as much as possible.
Well, I just wanted to build a little bit on what Robert was saying before the last break. The fair has really come back the last few years, and the crowds that you see down there are reminiscent of when I was a youngster. And that's the kind of stuff that we need to see for the whole community. But just a plug for when I was mayor and the last couple of administrations, I made it a conscious effort to support the Agricultural Society, knowing not only that week or 5 days or how long the fair is, how important that is during that time, but how important the fairgrounds and all the activity is down there all year long. It's really a central hub for this for the community, and the city really does need to continue to support the efforts down there. And I've tried to champion that a little bit myself, and I think the current mayor believes the same thing. And we want to continue to see that. And you're right, Brian, the city and the town both need to step up and support what's going on down there. And I know Robert's going to talk a little bit about some capital improvements that are going to be going on here just starting in the next week. But it just shows you those are the type of things that can happen if the community comes together.
Yeah, so again, we want you to go to the fair. Go more than once. Go 2 or 3 days. Take advantage of what's going on there. I know there'll be a rave car show in the second week of July coming up, and the fairgrounds is used by different nonprofits year-round to sort of keep things going down there and keep the activity going. But I do want to turn around because I mentioned the Ray Mooney pictures with the cars lined up literally down Gouger Hill to come to the fair, and the fair office, which is a rather old gal now and probably needs a little bit of help. And so you've got a construction project going on there, correct?
Yeah, so we're about to announce our capital campaign. I teased it a little bit when I was here a few weeks ago, but we are gearing up now. People are going to be seeing it out there publicly. We have about $300,000 to raise, which is certainly a steep goal, but it's a very necessary goal to save the gatehouse, which, yes, acts as the main offices, but I think it acts as our cultural route on the fairgrounds. I mean, it's all of our marketing, it's everything. And truly, I've had some people describe it coming into Rutland almost as a gateway into the city too. I mean, just the fact that it's such an iconic structure, the arches, the roof, and the way that it looks. So we're going to be working to get the building saved. Right now, it's facing significant deterioration. And so the reality is it needs a new foundation. So that's first priority. It needs total renovation at this point. It's usable. We're using it, but it's also in a state of pretty significant disrepair. And it's pretty obvious from the outside. And I know multiple folks have mentioned to me, I hope you're going to do something with the gatehouse. And it's on our radar now. It's more than on our radar. It's in the planning.
How old a building is it? Do you know?
So I've seen some pictures that are suggesting that probably the current iteration of it is turn of the century, but the oldest sections of the center, the real center, before any of the additions towards Clear Choice and the additions towards where the office was put on, there actually was just a very narrow gatehouse with the arches. And that part of the structure likely dates back into the 1800s, whether it's Civil War time period or just after Civil War time period. There's really there's a time period there where that goes way back. Post and beam structure in there. There's lots of things, and we're gonna be also in the process of rehabbing and getting things stabilized and the new foundation and getting it totally renovated. We're going to be putting in to the north end of the building, a display is going to be incorporated into that meeting room so that can be actually opened up during the fair when it's all done, and hopefully, a history room kind of not just the fair, but of the building itself, if we can gather, what we can gather together to be able to have that display and have that history for folks as another added thing when they come to the fair. They can check out the history of that building. Because again, it's iconic, it's served its time in its current state, and it needs to be saved. So we're gearing up for that.
Now that was the gate. That's why it's called the gatehouse,
yep,
where people literally entered. Mm-hmm. How far back does the entrance at Dana and Park Street go? Do you know?
So the entrance at Dana, I believe, is somewhere in the 70s. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the 60s, but it's back into that time period that was added as a main entrance. And I know one of the main reasons that it had to be added was when the parimutuel was going on down on Route 7, you could not, for security purposes, have the public going through the parimutuel area. Right. So they had to add a second main entrance, which technically Dana is our main gate, is on all the maps it's described as the main gate. And the tunnel, of course, was added in 91 to get people to be able to go into the infield and park while races were going on, so you didn't have to interrupt the horse racing anymore, and all of that took place as well. So that my understanding, 60s, 70s, in that time period is when that would have been added.
Same with Park Street?
I think Park Street goes way back.
It does.
As far as I know, Park Street has been the pedestrian entrance there by the industrial building has always been there.
That goes back to my childhood.
Okay.
I remember going that way. Yep.
So if someone wants to get involved with a donation of some denomination, large or small, how do they do that?
Yeah, so our foundation is actually running the capital campaign. So we are the Rutland County Agricultural Society, but we have a foundation. So if you throw foundation on the end of that, so Rutland County Agricultural Society Foundation, it's a mouthful, that is where the donations are going to be able to go. Our mailing address is P.O. Box 10, Rutland, Vermont 05702. And if you are sending a donation for the gatehouse, please note it in the memo line or stick a piece of paper in the envelope with it that says this is to go to the gatehouse project. And we are going to be rolling out again next week QR codes with online giving as an ability as well. We've also got some other fundraising coming out. We're going to have some different things like buy a brick. We're going to have some other initiatives happening where if folks want to practically, have their name on a brick that's going to go in a walkway there, we're going to have that happening as well. And literally, brick by brick, piece by piece, dollar by dollar, we're going to get this project done and we're going to save a piece of Rutland history.
Speaking of history, your granddad, you must have some great memories too when Ed Congdon was in charge, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was a treat if now of course, I'm the principal at the Rutland Area Christian School, but I attended the Rutland Area Christian School as a kid. So It was a treat if Grandpa picked us up and we had to stop at the fairgrounds for some reason. I also remember, Mom and some friends of hers, would come up and walk the track, and I'd get to bring my bike and I'd get to ride around the fairgrounds on my bike when nothing was going on. But it was always, I think one of my earliest memories is probably the ribbon cutting for the automobile tunnel under the track. It was in the summertime. I remember that they had to tell him there was an emergency to get him out of the hayfield because, of course, we were still a dairy at that point. And they got us up there, and they had seats all set up. And, I was just a little tyke. And I remember at the time, Stoney Roberts' Demolition Derby was still coming and doing the Demolition Derbies for Summer Smash and for the fair. And they snuck, Stoney was still alive at that time, and they snuck Stoney and Bernice, and I think Frankie was here for all those who know that clan. And they hid them in the dairy barn, the dairy center. And they got him onto the grounds, and they got him there for the ribbon cutting. And then they came out, and I just remember the excitement. Yeah. And we all got to load the shuttle and go up to the fair office for a reception afterwards. And lots of people that aren't with us anymore. Bev Davison, who was down there for years. Bill Corey was president at that time, and just names that made things happen back then, and they were the ones that were behind it, and Bob Eaton and all those people that came out and made it happen. So it was that I have memories like that. I have just the camaraderie, and I think that's part of what we've tried to get back to as well, even in the leadership of the fair. We are all in the trenches together. We do it because we love it, but some days we may love it less than others. But we all work together, and that's the importance.
One last reminder again, folks, the celebration's coming up Friday, July 3rd. Rutland Town hosting Rutland Summer Jam at Northwood Park from 4 to 8. Live music, food, all kinds of stuff going on there. And then, of course, the main 4th of July celebration will be in the fairgrounds on the 4th. And we have a demo derby, and then we have the fireworks, the Rutland, what is it called again? The Fireworks Over Rutland.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that will be at 9:45 p.m. following the demo derby down at the Vermont State Fairgrounds. So thank you both for coming in, Robert Congdon and Dave Allaire, and we will have you back for sure. And we'll see all of you next week here on Catamount Community Connection.